Marisa Constantinides, who is a teacher educator, a conference presenter, and ELT author. She's the director of CELT Athens, which is a CELTA and Delta centre in Athens, offering face-to-face and online courses. Marisa is one of the moderators of ELT Chat, and she has various blogs, including the very popular TEFL Matters blog. And she's recently been appointed Community Manager for the IATEFL Learning Technologies SIG. And you can find her on Twitter as Marisa_C, and she'll be happy to talk to you there. Today we're looking at teacher creativity, and the reason for that is that we have a very special new publication from the British Council called Creativity in the English Language Classroom. There are a couple of events to celebrate this. Next week we will have the book launch event, which will be live streamed, so you can attend that, and Marisa will be speaking there as well. And in next month there'll be another webinar on the Teaching English website about creativity with learners. So I'm going to put in some links to the book launch so that you've got more information about it. We'll also be publishing some extracts from the book about creativity in the next week on English Agenda. And you can download the book from the English Agenda website. I'll put in the link in a minute. Okay, thanks for that, Giancarlo, sorry. And if you have any questions, Marisa, questions will go in the chat box, and we'll either deal with them at the end, or maybe Marisa will deal with some of them during the session. Okay. Yeah, what do you think, Marisa?
Oh, we can do that. If I'm getting too distracted and I haven't answered questions, please give us a shout at the end, and we can put up a Q&A box.
Okay.
So I might be able, to see them. Let me just make the letters a little bit bigger in the chat box so that I can see them.
Okay. Anyway, I'll monitor the chat box and try to pick up on questions at the end if you've missed anything. Okay.
Lovely.
And the recording of this webinar will also be available on the English Agenda website. So, without further ado, over to you, Marisa. Looking forward to hearing what you've got to say about creating creative teachers.
Thank you so much, Ellen, and thank you for setting this up and for the very good support that I've had so far. We have been improvising to get this together because it is a busy time of the year. It's really quite busy at our school. But I was quite excited to be involved in this publication and very pleased to have been invited to talk about a topic that I've been working on for quite a long time. Now, the publication is mainly many condensed chapters about teaching, creating activities for foreign language learners. But I wanted to talk about language teachers because that's what I do. I am a teacher educator. I'm a little bit concerned about my sound at the moment. Can you all hear me all right? The sound is good. Oh, I can see some. I deliberately asked you so I could see your names again. Great. That's very good. Lovely. Hello, everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming to this talk. I hope you get something out of it. And even if you are not a teacher trainer, hi, Teta. Hi, everyone. Oh, got so many familiar names from the City of Kings. Wow. Hi. Okay, so you've already said where you're from. Could I just have an indication of how many of you are currently teacher trainers? Adib is the first one who declared himself. So how many of you are teacher trainers? Can you just type yes if you're a teacher trainer so I can see the count? 1, 2, 3, 4, yes. Okay, quite a few people are already teacher trainers. Indeed, Adam, you taught me everything I know. Thank you so much. And anybody else who is a teacher trainer? Who is an aspiring teacher trainer? Who hopes to be a teacher trainer? Just write me. Just write me. So I can, me, yes, good, me. Good. Lovely. Great. Just write me. Oh, God, so many hopeful. Well, to be quite honest with you, for those of you who are already experienced teacher trainers, I don't know that you will be learning quite a lot in my session, and you will be able to read all of it in very great detail in the chapter of the book that is about to come out. It's possible that for the aspiring or prospective teacher trainers, they might learn a few more activities. And the reason I'm saying that is that before I wrote the chapter, I have been talking quite a lot with colleagues who are already teacher trainers. And I believe that most of you include activities to generate creativity. I only, in my research, there was only one person who said, no, teachers don't need to be creative, which was just an exception. Everybody else kind of was sweeping that, an overwhelming number of teacher educators who are convinced of the importance of teachers being creative, because we need to be creative. We need to think on our feet. We need to find solutions. We need to to be able to deal with the unexpected, which is like happens every other minute in our language classrooms. No matter how much you try to prepare, there's always something that's not going to work. Now, I'm going to test you for creativity, and I'm going to test you by asking you to write something. Are you going to listen to my instructions? You really need to listen to my instructions very carefully and follow them. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to write something, but you can only print it when I say enter. Okay? So concept check. Can you write anything before I say go or enter? Quick answer. No. Okay, cool. No, stop. Okay, I'm going to open another chat box. This is going to be a test of your creativity. We want to see how creative you are already. And I'm going to add another chat box. This is chat box number 4. And we have 98 people. And write down the middle of them. What's the middle letter? Should we say from A to M? Okay? From A to M, people write in the first chat box. Okay, I'm going to take that out of the way, and our game chat box are here. Don't write in this chat box. Okay, this is the chat box for people from A to M. Don't write in the other chat box. Stop writing. Okay? Only A to M people are allowed to write in this chat box. Please don't write anything yet. Do not write anything. God, you're unruly. People from N to Z, you write in this chat box. Okay? I'm joking. I'm actually having a really great time. So this is a test. I'm going to show you an object, and I want you in 1 minute to write as many unusual uses of that object as you can think. I'm going to give you only 1 minute. At the end of the minute, when I say enter, that's the only time when you can write, when you can enter and show us what you have written. Okay? Unusual uses, not the ordinary use. Okay? So are you ready? A to M this way, chat for box 5, and N to Z, chat box 4, the one I'm moving now. Okay? So here we go. Now, I'm going to ask you to write as many unusual uses of a chair, obviously not to sit on, and you are not allowed to press enter until I'll tell you to do so. You can start writing now, but you cannot press enter. Start writing. You have 1 minute. As many unusual uses as you can. Go. I don't have a timer, but I'm timing you. Using my phone. Okay. I didn't say enter, Felipe. You're not allowed to do that. I didn't say enter, Efrosini. No one is allowed to enter yet. Wait a minute. No worries. Okay, we have 20 seconds to go. Are you still typing ideas? Okay, I'm going to count. Ellen is here. Ellen is going to, can you count who has the most answers, the highest number of answers on the left-hand chat, on chat 5, chat box 5, chat box 4 is mine. Okay, so enter now. The rest of you who were unruly, good Lord. I'm doing the rest one, the right one. Ellen is doing the left one. We have Tata, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have anybody who has more than 9 on the right-hand side? Dry, table, ladder, gym workout. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who has more than 9? 1, 2, no, that's 8. 1,
I think
2,
I've got
3,
12 there.
How many?
12, I think, but I can't find them now. It goes too quickly.
Derek said Ben Mudd has 14, so Ben seems to be the winner on the left-hand side. Ben, can you, okay, 1, 2, 3, ladder, close, line, fire, stool, weapon, shield, firewood, drum, obstacles, storage device, centerpiece, statement, what now? Statement, hat. You wear the chair on your head, Ben? Oh, wow.
Oh, a statement hat.
Oh,
A hat
I
with a
don't know.
statement. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Now, this was just a little game to get you started, to get you warmed up, as it were. And this is perhaps one of the activities that I would probably use with learners. But if I was meeting a new group of teachers, that would be also fun to do. How many unusual uses of things you can have. Now, Ben, I did say unusual. In the real world, where I would have face contact with my students, there would be a follow-up discussion where we would say, where each group would challenge the other and say, well, not really as a footstool, not really as this, they could argue out which of the uses were truly unusual. And there would be quite a lot of talk and arguments and possibly also verbal fights for the group that was going to win. You did it individually, but in a class, I would do it as a group or as a team. So the team with the highest number of unusual uses would be the winner. Okay, thank you very much for playing this game. I'm going to take out this chat from your view and go back to the original chat. I think, do we have any files? I'm not going to share any files right now. So we could have the chat here for everybody to see. Did you enjoy this activity? Did you think it was fun? Yeah? Now, do you think it was creative? Yes? Okay. Now, one of the things that this activity does is get the students to produce lots of ideas. In the first instance, where you typed all your answers, it was I would just accept every single answer you came up with. But and that's what brainstorming is all about. At the second level, we could select the ideas that were most suitable, that were most acceptable, and that's what you do. Creative people have loads of ideas, but not all the ideas are equally good. So when we brainstorm, we go for quantity, we don't go for quality. Later on, we go for quantity. So let me go to my next slide. As an educator, I believe that we all have creative potential. I believe that some of us don't fully realize our potential, possibly because we come from a fairly traditional learning environment where maybe our perceptions of what teachers should be like or how teachers ought to behave or what teachers are supposed to be doing are limited and delineated by the models of teaching that we've been exposed to. And having become, I'm sorry, Maria, I'll try to speak more into my microphone. Having come from a fairly traditional learning background myself, I've often had some issues like that myself. And I think I need practice to improve my creative thinking skills. I think by improving my creative potential as a thinker, as a producer of ideas, as a producer of innovative ideas, or as a producer of ideas that come from the ideas of others, I'm also going to be a better teacher. I think my teaching skills will improve. And that's the idea behind the seminar. So our creative thinking potential is there. And unless we kind of unleash it, and unless we develop it, we might end up repeating blueprints of lessons, or just teaching the course book, or just regurgitating the ideas of others, which I think for teachers is a pretty dire situation to be in, because the ideas of others, or the models of teaching that others use, may not be the best models for your own learners. Chris Iseri is saying sharing of ideas is of extreme value, and part of becoming a creative teacher is becoming a great sharer. So I'm going to talk about that as well later on. We have evidence and knowledge that comes from various fields, from cognitive psychology, which suggests that aspects of creative thinking are, there are multiple aspects, there are multiple facets of the human intellect that we could be exploring and that we could be developing. Educators believe in creativity, and more recently, I think all of us, have become more alert to this kind of need, possibly after we heard some great talks by, do you remember the great TED Talks by Sir Ken Robinson, How Schools Kill Creativity? I think a lot of teachers have become much more interested as a result of this recent concern. But business people are also interested in creativity because marketing, creating products, creating innovative products is in the interests of the business world. And I think when we learn about creativity, we need to take information and ammunition and to get ideas from wherever we can find them. I think part of being creative is learning from others and getting ideas and curating the ideas of others, whether they come from education. For example, people are mentioning Bloom's educational objectives and Bloom's taxonomy. I think, yes, the Charles Pugliese, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, thinking in the, yes, very good, thank you. And also, more recently, I don't know if some of you are aware of the C group, the creativity group that was started by Alan Maley, who is the heart and soul, I think, behind this publication of the British Council, a great teacher himself who has alerted us to the need for creative thinking and creative teaching, based on some of his great ideas about using literature, poetry, and I mean, I've been using these ideas for years and years, and perhaps one small demonstration of the creative thinking that I was able to develop because I've been reading all these people and learning from them and learning from blogs and talks, is creating this talk. I'm sure my ideas are not novel, and those of you who are more experienced will recognize them, but here they are. My ideas come from the business world, from educational world. Maria, you cannot hear at all? I don't think I can put up my volume any longer without frightening people. Can everybody else hear me properly? Yes? You might want to relog if you cannot hear me, because if I put up my volume, I might be too loud. Okay, all right. So, according to different sources, including Edward de Bardo and his lateral thinking ideas, according to Guilford's educational texts, in the book that's coming out soon, you will find references to all these sources. And according to people who write in the business world, like Terry Rickards, people who are creative are lateral thinkers. They're flexible. They're original. They're highly productive. They generate lots and lots of ideas. They are original, and they can find a variety of solutions. Yes, I think Maria Olenka you're right, being creative should not rely on one source, but we can take information from different sources. Another way of defining creativity is, some people call it divergent production, and I like this term. I'm not going to call it divergent. I like this diagram, which goes to show you how the creative thinker can go off in all sorts of directions in their thinking and provide not just one solution, but many different answers from just one stimulus. This works with the language classroom as well. And those of you who managed to perhaps follow my talk on the 24th of June, which will be transmitted from London, in that talk I will be talking about activities for foreign language learners that derive from this model. So creative thinking is all I'm saying, helps us to because it goes off in different directions, so we can come up with multiple solutions to the same problem. It facilitates problem solving, and what, if anything, does a teacher do other than solve problems all day long? The problems are how to correct, what to correct, anything that has to do with dealing with the unexpected in the foreign language classroom. And finally, creative thinking helps because it leads us to a variety of answers, and not just to answers of one kind. Okay, I'm going to, for the purposes of this talk and for personal convenience, I'm going to be looking at aspects of creative thinking that fall under the umbrella of fluency, flexibility. I'm sorry, this is my timer just decided to go on. Fluency, which is producing lots and lots of ideas. You're calling. Okay. What do you want? So fluency involves quantity of ideas. Lots of ideas, not necessarily all good, but lots of them. Flexibility involves producing ideas of different kinds, not just lots, but lots of different ones. Elaboration is one of the aspects of creative thinking that does not involve producing an original idea, but building ideas are based on somebody else's idea, which you then develop and you improve. A lot of innovation and a lot of innovative thinkers and a lot of great inventions have been created on the basis of this principle, this aspect of creativity. And finally, the basic kind of bread and butter of the creative thinker, originality. To be creative, all I'm saying is we don't necessarily always need to be original. We can be creative by producing different ideas, by using the ideas of others and building on them, and by producing lots of different ideas to help them, to help ourselves and to help our learners. Okay, so if we take the ideas that I've talked about so far, one activity that I could possibly use with a class of teachers might be to do you remember the unusual uses activity we did as a lead-in in the beginning? I might ask a group of teachers to tell me of some unusual uses they would put a whiteboard to. Okay? So I don't know if you're willing to do the same over and over again, but we've just done that activity. So I'm going to try a different activity this time. This falls under the idea of the category of brainstorming, and particularly of producing lots and lots of ideas. Some activities that trainers could use in the training classroom could be, for example, this one, different ways of asking the same question this is quite a useful activity for the training classroom, because a lot of young teachers only tend to ask questions in the same way. So I'm going to write down a question in the notes here. Which is a typical question that you might ask after a conversation or listening or a reading. Teachers can ask simple questions like that. What did the boy say? All right. Now, your task is to ask the same question in as many different ways as you can in the text chat. So can I give you the signal, and can you write the same question, but not using the direct question, what did the boy say? I'm going to give you half a minute to try it out. Go. What is the boy trying to communicate? What is the boy thinking? No, it's what did the boy say? What was said by him? The boy said what? Okay, yeah, I'll take that. What did he say? Do you get what he said? What was said by the boy? Did you hear what the boy said? Did he say something? What did he reply? Did you catch his ideas? What was the thing the boy said? What was said? Okay, that's the idea, to ask the same question in different ways so that the teacher can expand their language repertoire. Imagine you're the boy. Okay, role play his words. What do you think the boy said? What did the boy think about? No, what did he reply? What did the boy reply? It's okay. So lots of different ways of asking the same question. For example, you could also say things like, the boy said something. What was it? Or you could say, repeat what the boy said. Thank you, Larissa. What was it the boy mentioned? Teta says, yes, good. Did he say something? What was it? What did he mention? What was it he said? Or you could say something like, the boy said nothing, true or false? The boy said something, expand. Or you could say, Adam, ask Teta what the boy said. So Adam can ask Teta. So we ask one student to ask another, what were the boy's words? Yeah. Or explain to me what the boy said. I'd like you to tell me what the boy said. All right? Okay, I'm not going to go any further, but you've already seen from the multitude of answers that people have come up with that there are so many different ways of asking the same simple question, and yet we observe teachers in the classroom, and time again, they ask it the same boring way. What did the boy say? When they could be asking one student to ask another, they could be doing true or false, they could be asking the same thing in a variety of ways. Ask a question, yes. Okay, or ask us about what the boy said. One other way of doing this, another idea, is to use different ways of using the same activity. Or you could do, for example, I'm going to give you the activity, the classic gap fill, which everybody knows. This is because I didn't have time to do that slide, you understand? So I'm telling you orally. The gap fill, okay, so they left. I'm just writing a gap fill sentence. Whatever. Can you think of other ways of using this activity that has gap fills like this one? It could be missing a noun, it could be missing a verb, it could be something. Okay. Can you think of using the same activity in different ways? Circle, giving pictures, okay. All right. Paint. How paint? That sounds like an interesting one. Do it as a listening activity, okay? Derek, you say show clocks. What would they do with the clocks? Draw some pictures, okay? Scramble the words of the sentence, okay? Choose when they left the wedding. Okay, you need some training. I'm joking. Leave out the last part. Okay, leave out the last part of some words, okay? It could be the beginning of a narrative. It could be the end of a story. It could be make a video of a picture. Oh, God, you're beginning now. Make it negative. Make it a question. Play hangman with the missing words. It could be the end of a story. Okay, lovely. I mean, that's the idea. That we take something very ordinary, a very ordinary classroom activity, and think about other ways of using it. You could say, okay, take this sentence give the sentence to a group of to each pair of students, and tell them to decide what it is, what word would they put in the gap. And they improvise a dialogue in which this sentence has to be inserted at some point with their chosen word. So it could be an impromptu little role play, as Francesca is suggesting, or maybe an impromptu little story. The other idea here is not very, very different to my previous one, but it's 20 activities from a single piece of material. For example, from an image, let me just check what is my next activity. Yeah, from a single piece of material, think of 20 activities. I'm going to show you this one. There's a clock, a bunch of flowers, a bathtub, some words, some sounds, and a cat. Can you think of 20 activities that you could write, that you could create on the basis of this stimulus, if you like? This is a great activity from the training classroom. Did you do that? Oh yeah, I told you a story. I know. Oh, sorry. I'm repeating myself. I apologize. True, false questions. Cut, paste. What's cut, paste? Make a short video on the basis of this one. Peer writing. They could be writing in groups. Write a story. Label them. Creating cases. What do you mean creating cases? Fill in the gaps using the images. Okay. Do an improvisation. Play what is it? What item would they carry on an island? Yes, it's coming. Creating videos, create music, make a story, put on a play, using these as props. Lovely. Yes. Yes. Sing a song, make a song even. Write the words of a song, create a poem, do a rap. Susan, that's lovely. Chance, solve a problem, create a murder mystery. Like, is that the case? I'm hoping it is. What's the odd one out? Make Pictionary, do a Pictionary game, scenarios. Good God, and this is recorded, is it? Because this is really some really great ideas in the text chat here. I'm going to use this as my next activity, which I use for teachers. Now, apart from Adam and possibly Badani, who were my Delta trainees, some of you may not know this activity, so please don't talk if you remember what I've done with this activity. Now, I'm going to use the same material for a flip side activity. Crossword game, yes, okay. I'm going to use this as a game of questions to find out what activity it is for the training classroom, show the student, your trainees, the material, and have them ask you yes or no questions, which you can answer until they discover what you did with this material. What is it for? So, can you stop writing whatever you're writing and only ask me questions which I can answer yes or no with, so that you can discover how I use this material in an activity. Are you ready? Go. Ask me some yes-no questions. No. Are you going to tell a story? Yes. No, it wasn't a play. Yes, you can use it with all their ages. Don't ask me about the story. Ask me about the activity. No, I didn't use it as a dialogue. I'm only answering the questions which are reasonable. Yes, they worked in pairs. I used all the pictures. It was writing. Yes, can be used at all levels. The students need to write. I used IDCs. It involved speaking. You can use it in a one-to-one lesson. It is a speaking activity. I'm losing the text. Let me go up. Where is it? I lost it. I didn't give them cutouts. It was partly listening comprehension. There was no miming involved. The cat was an important character, but not the main character. The bouquet eventually became mine. It was a speaking activity as well. And that's it. Enough. Okay. So, can you guess what activity? Yes, it was creative. Yes, the students had to finish the whole thing in class. It wasn't connected to a video. It was both individual and group work. It was very much enjoyed. All the students had the same elements. And now let's stop. It wasn't a short play. It wasn't like a dictogloss exactly. But the story, the students, Adam, do you remember the activity at all? If you don't remember it, I'll say what it was. Okay, so can you guess what activity it was? That's it, no more questions. Okay, it wasn't a role play. It was a short story starting from the prompts. The students got the students had to ask me yes or no questions about the actual images and sounds. And from my answers, they had to piece the story together. Then they had to write the story. From my answers, they had to connect any gaps that they had. And then after they presented their own versions of the stories, I actually read them the original story, or I asked them to read it. So it was a kind of TBL lesson, a task-based lesson, where the students created the story first and then they saw it written. And then, as a follow-up, what I asked them to do to get them to feel a little bit more creative, I asked the groups to create their own story, but not tell it. I asked the groups to draw some pictures and send them to another group to replicate the same thing. Yes or no questions, tell me what I said, and then hear what actually happened. Okay, so this was the learning activity. Everybody, now, another kind of activity that generates creative thinking is putting people in a sticky situation. And one famous activity for that I'm sure you all use it in your classes, is called alibis. Do you remember alibis as a game? Do any of you use it? In alibis, students are accused of some petty crime that happened at the school, and two of them are sent out and they have to create an alibi for themselves. And it's a predicament. They have to come back and they have to answer questions about it. Now, this one is slightly different. It's called Predicaments. And what I usually do is I have a number of predicaments written on slips of paper, and I give them to each group. And the group decides who they're going to call on the other group and accuse them of this and say, for example, Susan Hilliard, you were seen leading a group of blindfolded students through the mall. Now explain yourself and say why you did that. And the challenge is that the student who is accused of that, they have to get themselves out of that predicament by creating a plausible teaching excuse. This works in the classroom really well, but I use it as a game in the training classroom, putting teaching problems. For example, you were seen gluing apples to a wall outside your class before an IELTS lesson. Okay, why were you doing that? So the teachers have to think of a reason, and that gets them to think more flexibly, to find different ways of looking at the same activity, the same problem. If you don't like this one, which I think is great fun, students really love this activity, you can use it as a generator of predicaments. My students, after my trainees work through my list of predicaments, they love to write their own predicaments and to send them to the other groups and challenge them with them. And predicaments need to be, for students, they can be anything. For trainee teachers, they will be teaching predicaments, teaching sticky situations. Balloon debates, again, are another kind of activity which people love. I like to use balloon debates with the different, for example, on a Delta course, a balloon debate about which approach you would, you're beginning to lose height, you're in the balloon, and you have all these approaches in your balloon, which ones you can only keep, yeah? In the training classroom, sometimes we're a little bit more heartless, and we actually name famous people related to creating these methods and approaches, famous linguists, but I am not going to mention anyone's name here, lest they should hear this talk and be offended or frightened that we might throw them out. But students have a lot of fun, and they're creative. They're thinking about reasons why they would do it, why they would keep that method as opposed to the other one, why they would keep, for example, Professor Henry Widdowson as opposed to someone else. I just named one, but I would keep him. I wouldn't throw him out. Okay, so balloon debates. One activity which I really like is, and it generates lots of ideas, it's very, very much of a brainstorming activity, is preoccupations. Preoccupations are from the people in your family, in your circle of friends. They always talk about cars, football, and you cannot say anything else, but they find some way of bringing the conversation back to their favorite topic. So what I do is I make cards for half the class, and they have to talk about their preoccupation, trying to draw the conversation over to their side. So, for example, one student would have drilling as a preoccupation, and the other would have role plays. One would have use of L2, the other one use of L1. One student would have sound. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Oh, sorry. So there's a little button here and I pressed it by mistake. I hope I haven't been silent for a long while. Okay, I'm going to say that I'm going to talk about the balloon. How long have I been silent? Isabel, one.
Not long.
Okay. All right.
No.
Okay. All right. So just a few seconds. I was just saying that in preoccupations, you give people a particular preoccupation, and they have to draw the conversation back to their topic in a way, which makes them think of a lot of arguments or a lot of ideas around their topic. And around the topic, they can draw back. So, for example, you would get two people to battle out PPP versus TVL. Okay, so I'm going to go on because I don't have very much time. So if you missed out a few minutes, I'm hopeful that there will be a recording for you to listen to them. Okay, Fluency is also on a training course. We very often rely on, we need teachers to be fluent and teachers to think quickly on their feet and teachers to be creative about using a language. So one of the ways, one of the activities that I cannot actually do here because I need someone to be talking, to have sound, is things like keep asking questions. Keep asking questions is very, very difficult, actually. So you give the students a topic and you say, why do your students keep talking in their native language? And the whole conversation has to go back and forth by using only questions. So the other person would have to answer the question with a question. And they would have to say something like, don't you think it's natural that people would want to revert to their first language? And speaker one might go back and say, isn't it obvious that I'm asking you in order to get an answer? Why don't you answer my question? And so on and so forth. You can do the same. The flip side of this is keep making statements, never ask a question or never make a negative statement, or avoid asking questions, but you can report questions. Reporting questions is an art for teachers that they need to master, and particularly, yes, Susan, did you want to ask me something? Okay. All right. Cheers, Susan. Reporting questions is a very important skill, linguistic skills for teachers, linguistic skill, and they do need a lot of practice. So if you want to give them some practice on that, let them play games like this one. Okay, role plays are also great to use, but role plays with an attitude. For example, these are now we are moving a little bit towards activities that are not simply practice of the building blocks of creativity like fluency, flexibility, elaboration, and originality, but we are moving towards more holistic activities. So this is like the end product of what teachers need to do. So a role play with an attitude would be like, how would you organize a reading circle in your school? Or how would you introduce literary evenings or something like that? And students have to have an attitude. One of them would be the school principal. The other person would be the financial advisor, who is a little bit stingy about money. Another person would be a teacher who is unwilling to put in the extra time. Yeah, no problem. I will upload on a slide share as well, if that's okay. And I will try to keep the links live. Desert island activities are also great. I use them a lot with my trainees. For example, you have a desert island activities. What would you take on a desert island? What would you take on a desert island to teach for a week? You are only allowed 8 items, so trainees will have to think very clearly what materials they would keep. This is an old activity, so some of the items on it might be a little old, but you know, you could do a desert island activity with 20 web applications. Which one would you take with you if you could? 10 course books, 10 grammar books, and so on and so forth. So it's quite a versatile activity. I want to go to Bloom's taxonomy, which some of you have mentioned already, and I realize you're all very highly aware of it. On a training course, we do a lot of lots. We do a lot of lots because we need to teach content. We need to make trainees understand the content. We need to help them to apply it in their teaching. We need them to analyze learner needs. Well, it will be uploaded. I apologize, I couldn't reproduce it very clearly. But what you can do, you can click next to the sharing. There's a little arrow that allows you to go full screen and read small slides. So that happens only for you, not for all of us. And I think at the top of the rank we have higher order thinking skills. And like for any learning kind of situation, I think we need to remember that on a training course, we don't just need the planning, the building of the individual skills, but we need to go to the big picture. Trainees learn and may do some of the activities that I have suggested to you because they need to be creative in order to do lesson planning, to plan courses, to adapt their materials, to create their own, to design quickly, to respond to their needs, to correct creatively, and so on, and to generate lots and lots and lots of ideas for their classes. So we need to give them holistic kinds of practice activity. The big picture includes a lot of design, devising, inventing, making. And a lot of these ideas can be found in the in Bloom's taxonomy, the learning in action rows. If you are interested in generating your own activities, you can even go to Bloom's taxonomy rows and generate activities from the vocabulary that you can find in there. It's so generative and so creative in itself that you can use it to generate more ideas for training activities for the classroom. And of course, using various applications, various online tools is quite important. And I've mentioned here for designing, you could create websites, Facebook pages, filming using your mobile phone, get them to use their phones, their tablets. You can get trainees to mix, to remix using the Firefox mixing tools, collaborating in wikis and Edmodo and Twitter, and publish. So there's lots of tools here that you can use to get your trainees to create. And obviously, blogging. Blogging is quite important. Last but not least in this big list, I'm going to mention hashtag conversations on Twitter. And notably, because I'm the moderator of ELT Chat, I'm going to mention ELT Chat, which is a great hashtag conversation that we hold every week. And I think for me, ELT Chat has helped me develop my creativity. So every week I'm into conversations about teaching on Twitter, which is fast, which is furious. And so I have to be fluent. I have to produce lots of ideas. I have to respond quickly. And that helps me improve my own creative thinking abilities. Creating new materials is based a lot on curation. And if you want to learn to create, you might want to learn to create. You might learn to curate as well. So if you click on this link, which I think is active, learn to collect, learn to store, learn to save, and then look at the ideas you've collected and think about how you could change them, how you could adapt them, how you could make them your own, how you could make a new idea out of them. So thank you very much, Derek. ELT Chat, WordPress. If you look at our summaries page, you will see what great discussions we had and what great ideas have been generated by people brainstorming ideas on Twitter, which is what we do really every week. So this was my last slide, and I think if we have a few minutes for questions, I'd be happy to take them. Make sure you click on the link for curation. And if you want my links, this is me. It's an idealized version of me, which I think has taken off quite a few kilos. I appreciate that. And all my links, my blog,